Unity community, and welcome back to another official Unity live stream here on twitch.tv/Unity, and of course the official Unity YouTube page. My name is Jackson. I am one of your community managers. It is my job to bring you all of the live stream content that you find on these channels. It is our hope that you come to these streams and you leave feeling informed, educated, inspired, connected with your community, and of course just a little bit entertained. Thank you all so very much for being here today, as we have a fantastic show planned for you all. We have the team, the internal Unity team that has created and launched and released a game for the Switch 2. Of course, we're talking about Survival Kids. We'll be showing off the game a little bit. We'll be talking about production. We'll be diving into level design, and we will be brushing up against some of the multiplayer stuff. We'll talk more about the details as we bring our guests on. But of course, I want to thank you all for joining us. If you are here live with us today, please be aware that this is a conversation. We want to hear from you. We want to answer questions. I will bring them to the team. We want to know your comments, your thoughts on things. So whether you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, feel free to pop into the chat right now and let us know where in the world you are tuning in from. It is one of the most incredible feelings in the world as a community manager to see just how far our community stretches around the globe. So let me know. However, if you are watching after the fact as a VOD on YouTube, take a look down at that navigation bar and you can jump ahead to whichever portion of this stream most appeals to you. And I'm looking forward to it. This is one that we've been working on for a long time, trying to get everybody in the right place. Very excited to bring this team together and chat with you all. But of course, saying hey and checking in with you all. Some familiar names, of course, the Bull and Mr. Awesome. Wen is here as well. Andrew, the Day, Samurai Dev, everybody, welcome on in. We've got some new folks that maybe it's not your first time here, but maybe I'm not recognizing your name, but that's fantastic. You are all welcome here. We got Rolly, we got Usio, we got M. Gim, Anna's Gone Crazy. Everybody, welcome on in from all over the world. South Carolina, the Philippines, Guadalupe. We got Alabama, Italy, Orlando. Very cool. Fantastic to have you all here. Again, we've got a fantastic show with a lot planned. Very exciting things to show off for you all. I feel like this is a very fun opportunity because the number of times we see in this stream specifically, people come in and be like, Unity needs to make games with their own engine. We're like, hey, we were, and we have, and we did. So very excited to talk about it. Of course, I'm not the one with all of that information. Instead, why don't we bring in the legends themselves, both first-time guests on the show. So please be kind and gentle and be warm and welcoming like I know you know how. Unity community, please welcome to the show. We got Pedro and Andy. Welcome on in, you two. Andy, let's start with you. How are you?
Jackson, I'm great, and thank you. You hinted at it, but thank you for being so patient with us.
Of course.
We've been heads down on making this game for the last 2 years, and even in the run to shipping it earlier this month, we were super busy. We wanted to do the live stream earlier, but we couldn't quite find the time to do it properly. So it's great to finally be on it, and yeah, thanks again for all your efforts in making this happen.
Of course, and a little peek behind the curtain for the Unity community out there. This game released on June 5th with the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 console. People can get a hold of it now if they would like. We will be doing a giveaway later in the show. I'll have to set that up and make sure that we're ready. We've got some codes. We have 1 North American code and 5 European codes, which, because Nintendo geo-gates their console, we'll figure that out. Don't worry, we're going to get all those codes out to everybody. But yeah, so the game released earlier this month. We were trying to get the whole team in to kind of have a little opportunity to show it off. Andy, I get it. Your team was busy. You guys made and released a game. So I'm happy to be here with you. No stress whatsoever. We always say of our guests, we want you here when you're at your best and when you're most excited to be here. So ultimately, if we brought you in and you were like, we just put out the game today, I'm exhausted, I need to lay down, we wouldn't have done anyone any good. So it's great to have you. Pedro, welcome on in. How has your day been so far?
Hey there. Quite warm. In the middle of British summer, but I'm from Brazil, so like for me it's just okay. But I have to be grateful.
Yeah, of course. And we spent a little bit of time ahead of the stream starting talking about everyone's backgrounds, which I really enjoy. So you both have very cool Lego set pieces. Do you guys want to talk about them really briefly before we get into it all?
Yeah, so these represent, each of these is pretty much a Christmas day at some point over the last 15 years. And I tend to ask for one big Lego kit for my wonderful wife. And yeah, this is my pride and joys, really. And it's, yeah, all represent happy days. The rest of the room is full as well, but I won't embarrass myself by showing the camera.
There's more than just what we can see.
There is, unfortunately. Yeah. As is anyone that's on the stream that builds Lego, they know it's a very difficult habit to kick. So
yeah, understood.
Space becomes the biggest problem, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Pedro, you've also got your own Lego back there.
Yeah, I got this massive Bowser statue.
Very cool. He's very intimidating, which is exciting as well. So we'll get to know you guys a little bit. Unity community, if this is your first stream, this is how we do it. I mean, obviously we bring in guests, we talk about technical stuff, but a big part of this is connection and letting you know that people working at Unity and working on the stuff that you guys like are real human beings. So we'll spend a couple of minutes getting to know the team here a little bit, and then we'll dive right in. If you have questions, we're already seeing them come in. Feel free to ask them. We've got a couple. We'll ask them intermittently throughout the show. And if we have, basically, I like to align it. If you're on topic, great, I'll ask that question. But we have a dedicated Q&A section at the end of the stream. And if anything doesn't get answered along the way and it makes sense to ask it, we'll hold it for the end there. So we've got some coming in. Keep it up. You guys are doing great. Andy, let's start with you. But can you tell us a little bit about your time working on this project, your time working in Unity? How long have you been here? What was your responsibility like?
Yeah, I've been here for almost 9 years, I think. In fact, I think it was 9 years in April. So a long time at Unity. I'm a passionate believer in the technology and everything we deliver for the game community. I'm a gamer at heart. I actually ran the Xbox platform team for about 5 years. That's the team that makes sure that Unity runs really well on all the Xbox platforms. I did involved in the Series X launch and then the One X launch. Actually based in the same office of the platform teams that also deal with Nintendo Switch and PlayStation as well, and PlayStation VR. So yeah, long time game developer, long time kind of Unity developer, making sure platforms are as good as they can be. But I had, and we'll talk a bit more in a minute, but I had an opportunity after running Xbox team to do something even bigger and hopefully even more impactful for everyone that uses Unity. And I'm excited to kind of share some of that story today.
Of course. We'll swing things over to Pedro if you can let us know a little bit more about yourself. And then I'd love to dig into what USP is in general, because I feel like not enough people know what you guys are doing and what you're working on. So Pedro, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a game designer. I started working at Unity for this team in particular. So I was hired for this project. And it's a very interesting position to be at, because being a game designer, before this game was announced, a lot of people who knew me would ask, "Oh, but aren't you a game designer? What are you doing at Unity?" Mm-hmm. Like, I can't tell you yet, but now the game is finally out, so I'm telling everyone, yeah, I'm a game designer at Unity, and we just made and published our first game. Yeah, our team is part of USP. But it is, I think Andy would be better for answering this question, but we are the first team within USP that is actually developing, like working on full game development.
Awesome. And we will talk more about USP. I want to dive into it, but a burning question to get to know you all a little bit better. I like to ask the question, and it's always incredibly challenging. So we let Mr. Awesome do it instead. Mr. Awesome in the YouTube chat says, what are your favorite games other than Survival Kids, naturally? Andy, you want to start? Do you have a favorite game?
I do, and I, it's hard to pick, isn't it? But I'm a huge. I was a PC gamer back in the day. I grew up with my Intel 286 PC and graduated through 386, 486, and I'll always be a DOS gamer at heart. And for me, the king of those games, or the genre that was most amazing during that period, was point-and-click adventure games. And so I would always lean to Monkey Island 2. Which I think is probably the pinnacle of LucasArts' work at the time. And I still play it now. It's a comfort game. We call it a cozy game nowadays, wouldn't we? But it's a great game to revisit. Even though I know the puzzles, it doesn't matter. I love being within that world. And and it's going to be hard to dethrone that. I have some close seconds, but if I can only pick one, Monkey Island 2 for sure.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick. It's a good nostalgia one. I'll also point this out because it might be jarring to anyone who's been in a lot of the streams. Typically, my sight line is here, but since we're playing games, I have that set up dead center. So you're going to see a lot more of my profile today. So just so you know, I'm not ignoring you just because my eye line is different. Pedro, do you have a favorite game? It's always a more difficult question than I feel like it should be, but do you have one?
Yeah, and maybe for game designers, it's even because I could answer this question from a lot of different perspectives, but yeah, like I think not thinking of the most recent ones, because if I had to pick based on which part of my life, what my favorite game is, I think nowadays I'm very into like highly procedural roguelike games, like games with like deep systems, so like Balatro or Slay the Spire are like the ones that I spend the most time with, definitely. But I was also always a very big fan of exploration focused game and puzzle focused game. So all the Zelda series, all the Metroid series, I'm a massive Nintendo fan. Nowadays, I really like things like Rise of the Golden Idol or Blueprints, like very like brainy puzzle games. I love them.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. I think it paints a picture. You can learn a lot about people just by what their favorite games might be. And I always find that very, very entertaining. Speaking of USP, can you tell us a little bit more about the team? What is the broader reach of the team and responsibility list of the team? And how does your team slot within it, Andy?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's another acronym, isn't it? We have to get used to USP. That was always a unique selling point for me. But USP stands for Unity Studio Productions. And it's a very large international team within Unity that's been in formation. Actually, had a few different names before USP, but been in formation, probably for the last 8 or 9 years in some form. And it's essentially a group of very talented cross-discipline Unity developers with good connections to the Unity engine team itself, who help developers achieve their vision. Developers using Unity can come to us and say, hey, I need this tiny bit of help with this one area, and we can assist with that, all the way up to much larger engagements where we might port a developer's game across to another platform. We might go deep on some optimization work they'd like us to do, moving a game from maybe 30 frames per second to 60. Or in some cases, we've actually ported entire projects over to Unity, games that have been built with either an in-house engine or a legacy engine. We've taken their code and we've recreated it, rewritten it in Unity and helped them ship. And really all of it is to do two things. It's to make sure those developers can be successful, but it's also to learn more about how developers use Unity so we can feed that back to the engine team. In some cases, it's very broad changes that they might want to consider over the next 2 or 3 years, all the way down to single line bug fixes that we can help get through and get into the engine for the next release. And yeah, it's a fantastic team, and we have very long-standing relationships with a lot of different games developers.
Yeah, it's very exciting to see and to hear about, obviously, the reach and the connections within. I think for a lot of people, the optics are a little bit cloudy and they think, well, Unity just puts out the engine and that's it. People use it or they don't. But the actual working relationship with these studios is exciting. And I know just after GDC, we brought a team in from the USP team that did a talk at GDC about taking Dredge and porting that to Android devices. So it's really cool to kind of start to see some of those projects. And I think what's most exciting about Survival Kids is, again, there's always been this commentary about how Unity needs to be making games in their engine. And we were for years, but because it was for the Switch 2, we couldn't say anything for literal years. So it used to happen where people would come into the stream and be like, Unity doesn't make any of their own games. And I'm like, we are, but I can't tell you. I can't say anything. So very exciting. How are you both? Pedro, let's start with you on this one, but how are you feeling now that this game is kind of out there in the world? And you said you were a big Nintendo fanboy and you created something for the Switch 2 at launch. How does that feel?
Well, it is amazing to open the Switch menu and just seeing like that big icon of a game that you worked on. Yeah, like having access to the platform before it was announced was also very I mean, I think it's very like emotional, like as a person who grew up, like watching E3s, this sort of stuff. Like, so it's really a very, like, I don't know, unique opportunity. And right now I'm just so excited about whatever's coming next, like the next project.
Of course. Yeah, very awesome. Andy, you've been working here for 9 years and you got to ship a game. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? And I think, just to rewind, looking at what USP had been doing before this project, obviously great engagements and learning a lot about how developers use the engine. But the reason we got into this was because, we kind of said to ourselves, well, what would be a way of getting an even broader view of the engine, of its strengths, of its weaknesses, and you quickly come to the conclusion that, well, the way to do that is you build a game. And I think it's great that the community has always kind of encouraged us to do that, and they believe that there's benefits in doing that. But I think we wanted to do it in the right way as well. And with this game, what we tried to do was mirror as close as we could the experience that a developer goes through as well. So not just technically in how a developer has to use the Unity engine, but also all the other challenges they face. We talked about not being able to do this stream when we wanted to, and that's because we were still heads down making sure that the launch was successful. And so we set out to make sure that we could replicate the as closely as we could the experience a developer goes through. So we had to pitch a game. We decided we were going to work with a publisher. In this case, it was Konami. But we had to, build that relationship with them. We had to pitch the game to them. We weren't successful with the first idea, so we went back with more ideas and we refined that with them, and trust started to grow. And then you start to set out the timeline, and therefore that governs like how you're going to break the project down, the milestones you're going to go through. So this is exciting. This is great that Unity's made its own game, but it's also the way in which we've gone about this, which is to try and understand the process that our customers and that Unity developers go through as closely as we can, including the time pressures that come with that.
Yeah. Always exciting. And you mentioned kind of this relationship with Konami. Of course, Survival Kids was a game, I believe, on the Game Boy Color, which is always exciting to kind of bring something back and reheat it and modernize it. And then being able to play it as I have, and we will be playing it in a moment here as well. It's fun. It's super fun. It accomplished a lot of things, it seems like, in terms of us being able to use our own tech and show it off. And I have to imagine that you guys learned a lot in the process. I do want to bring in a question from the YouTube chat here. Jihad asking, how many team members made this game? How many people, how big was the squad?
Great question. So like a normal game team, you go through a curve. You start off small, during production, you ramp up to the peak, and then you slowly start to wind the team down. People go off and do other things at various stages. That's actually important for managing the budget as well, which again, a lot of Unity developers, that's first and foremost in their mind. So at the peak, we were around about 20 people, but that was only probably for a few months at that level. So I would say on average through the project, we were around about 10 people. So quite like not tiny, but absolutely not massive either. This is of course a production which I think a lot of our customers, a lot of Unity Engine users can probably relate to. They're maybe in similar sized teams doing similar sized productions. It was I could go into a few more details. It was roughly a 2-year project as well.
Okay. Yeah. Very, very interesting to see. So when you set out on this journey initially to make this game, and you said that the first pitch didn't land with Konami, or maybe not in general, and then we made the second one, and that was great. What in your mind was like the scope and scale? What were you trying to create and accomplish when you first set out on this journey?
I think we knew we wanted to make a multiplayer game. Like, I think it's an area where many developers are looking. Right? Many games that are made now and are successful on multiplayer. We felt that because of the team, you also have to look at who's on the team as well, and the team you've started to build. And definitely one of our strengths was multiplayer as well, so it played to that. So I think that was what we were going into the conversations with, which was primarily, how can we make a multiplayer game? We loved co-op as well. A couple of us had co-op game backgrounds. So yeah, that kind of gave us some, some guardrails, if you like, as to the type of thing we were pitching. We also had 2 years in mind, right, for the development period. It was 18 months to 2 years, which itself starts to narrow down, what's possible, or what you can do in that time. And I think that aligned really well with the ambitions that Konami Europe had as well, the team we worked with there, Rich and Sam. And that alignment also helps, right? Because if you're both trying to achieve the same thing, it means you can probably start to move faster and move more efficiently.
Yeah, I have to imagine that having strong alignment with your publisher is probably a very, very good thing to have, especially early in. Gang, keep asking questions, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you are. You guys always ask most insightful questions. Again, if we don't get an opportunity to answer them as we go through, towards the end, we do have a dedicated Q&A section, so we'll get there as well. I do want to point out a comment here from Scally Games Dev on Twitch, who says, is there any online information on USP? I found nothing using a quick Unity USP or Unity Studio Productions Google search. And I will say, I had the same experience. Prepping for this, I was like, oh, maybe I'll grab our logo or something. Andy, like,
thank you for spotting. Yeah, thank you for spotting that. So we're in the process of reauthoring our presence on the unity.com website. The reality is we haven't needed to kind of make sure that was public facing. A lot of this work has happened kind of behind the scenes. A lot of it, so I think you will see an updated page for Unity Studio Productions in the coming months.
That's great. That's exactly it, especially because you guys work so hard, and this isn't the only thing that team's accomplished. So I feel like getting some visibility on all of the work will be a fantastic thing. Can we talk timeline? Talk a little bit about the timeline. I know you said you had 2 years. What was the kind of production? How did it shift as we went? I know that there was features, especially with a brand new console. How did that kind of picture change for you over time?
Yeah, I've actually got, maybe after we do the playtest, I've got a timeline that I can show.
Okay.
With a few interesting little videos and things we can use to illustrate where we were at what point. But in general, going specifically onto the Nintendo Switch 2, any new platform is incredibly exciting, and I think whilst it can be challenging as well, I think that was initially the overriding emotion was, of course, we're going to find a way to be a launch title for Nintendo Switch 2, and it took a little while between us and Konami to kind of really understand what the opportunity was. We were disclosed on Nintendo Switch 2 at exactly the same time as many other game developers. We didn't learn anything. Of course, the Unity engine team did. I've now learned.
Right.
They obviously knew earlier, but Unity's takes NDAs and disclosures very seriously. So we found out along with all many other games developers, and so there was we were a kind of platform agnostic to start with, and we knew it suited console. We knew it would have suited a handheld as well. But it was only probably, I guess, maybe 12 months to go where we solidified those plans, where we kind of knew enough about it. We could kind of see what was happening, that we thought that we can do this, and it's starting to align.
No, I think that's fantastic. Do we want to show people the trailer as we kind of chat here, just to kind of keep everybody looped in? Yeah, let's give them a little bit of a visual to kind of accompany it here. Thank you for that, Jack. So obviously, I had someone asking the question earlier. What genre would you define this as?
I would describe it as a co-op puzzle platformer. Themed around survival.
Yeah. The Bull is asking, might have missed this, but is it compatible on Switch 1, or are there features exclusive to the Switch 2?
So we can talk about that a little later. I've got a little slide on a feature called Game Share, and Game Share does actually let you play it on Switch 1, and I can very briefly talk about how it works.
Okay, I like it a lot. So again, the objective of the game, you and up to 3 friends navigating different levels, solving different puzzles, collecting different resources. I love any game that has a fishing mini game, so you have my heart immediately. Two things in games distract me 100% of the time. It's fishing mini games and it's gambling in games, and then I'm useless. I'm not doing the main objective ever again. So This is very, very cool.
I talked about the survival theme. We wanted it to be that survival fantasy. We still wanted to adopt those elements. We have stamina, we have crafting, we have resource gathering, but we wanted to make it in the most accessible way. We wanted this to be a really great family experience, something that would maybe be first like a survival or co-op game that a young gamer played, and again perhaps playing with family. So yeah, a lot of the things you love from survival are in here, but the game is really survival for everyone, rather than the way survival games have gone now, which is obviously this fantastic route, but they become very involved. A lot of time is needed, and there's a load of people that love that, and I love that genre. But we wanted to do something that was like the stepping stone into a survival game and into that genre.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think, like you touched on, fun game for families to play, but ultimately, like, if you have a go-to gamer friend, which I do, and you just want like a low-key time to play games and hang out together, this is fun. This is a low barrier to entry. Like it's great for newcomers, beginners, barely gamers, as I like to call them. But I highly recommend. And this isn't a sales pitch. I don't care how you spend your money, but this is a fun game from my own personal experience.
Yeah. Well, we really try to build the game in a way that, for example, there are some people who prefer to stay near the base camp cooking for everyone else. Right. So if you're playing with your family and you have like small children, different people might prefer to take different roles. So this is a bit in one of the ways in which we approach the theme survival for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and like, again, I feel like mission accomplished is what we should say. Is there anything else that we want to kind of preface before we jump in and kind of show off different parts of the game? I know we want to show off some of the multiplayer stuff. I think the initial plan, and for full disclosure, was to dive deeper into the multiplayer systems. We're going to brush up against them because we had to make some changes in terms of who was able to attend our stream and help with us today. But we're definitely going to get into level design. We're going to talk more about the production. We're going to talk about the key tech that's behind a lot of these things. And we'll talk a little bit about the future and where we're going to have more information for people. But is there anything right now, or should we jump in?
I think we jump in. We're going to just show you the basic flow and the different ways the multiplayer systems are set up.
Yeah, perfect.
So I'm going to ask you to if you kick us off then, Jackson.
I'm running the show. Now, I do want to preface this. This is always a good preface to have, is that when we are streaming things, there's a number of different layers of compression that happen. So in terms of what you see, we always do our best to make it look as good as possible, but I promise it always looks slightly better when you are playing yourself. So we've got my home screen. Don't judge my baseline, but you know what? Bowser on top, of course, obviously. So I'm going to launch Survival Kids just to get into it. We went through all of this process, and then we said we should start from the beginning so that everyone can see how easy and quick and you know, streamlined it is to get into a multiplayer experience with your friends. So I will launch in here. I've played a little, nowhere near as much as Andy Pedro.
I don't think anyone will ever play this game as much as we have.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have a general idea of your hour count in this game?
I can't even imagine.
No.
Thousands, isn't it? So
yeah.
And none of our hour counts is going to be a match for the QA team either.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. So
the game plays really well as a speedrunning thing. There are so many different strategies that our QA team, the times they can get are absolutely incredible. So I would encourage anyone that if anyone goes through the game, finishes it, start going after the low times, because there's some really interesting shortcuts you can make and optimization.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic. Also, we kind of breezed by it, but how exciting to see not just made in Unity, but just the pure Unity logo when you launch the game. Isn't that fun?
Yeah,
Isn't that fun?
And we did, Jason, who was the audio director, he made that little THX style sting that we've got at the beginning.
Yeah,
give it weight. So yeah, we hope that sticks as well for the future.
Yeah. We have Monkeys Likes Bananas in Twitch saying, it would be awesome to see this on Games Done Quick, which would be very, very cool. So if anyone's out there speedrunning it, get into it. So this is kind of our home screen here. We'll hop into play online. I will create a game.
Yep.
and then I'm going to invite my friends, Andy, and we're doing it this way on purpose. We're not excluding Pedro. We're not excluding Pedro. We're doing it on purpose. We're going to send an invite so we can show like the lobby system. Andy, what do we have to say about this? And then we'll show you the quick join as we're in action.
I'm just going to accept your invite. Keep that up.
My guy looks exactly like me. I often have leaves. What I like about video games is that it allows me to be aspirational with my hair, and it makes me feel like I have a lot more than I still do.
We actually have a grey hair color option, and I asked the art team to add that so I could have grey hair. So this is me in. Yeah, so this is using Unity's lobby system, and you can see it's showing the state of the game. And yeah, allows Jackson to choose levels, and I can see on mine, I can see that level has updated to Boomflower Bay. What I can do as well is I can go into customization, and I'll change the color of my character. Let's pick Jackson's a purple, so I'll pick a blue, and then I can head back, and you'll see my character update. So that's using the lobby system to kind of hold that state. The lobby will remain consistent if we were to do multiple levels. So I think we can. I'm going to ready up, and you'll see that as well, Jackson. And if you hit play island, that should take us in.
We're in.
Andy is definitely flexing his completionism by wearing the hats that you get if you 100% the game and get all the stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that we had the fancy merch on. Okay.
Spoilers.
I like it.
Spoilers, by the way.
Sorry.
Okay.
So we are playing internationally now. We're obviously based in the UK, so Jackson is not in the UK. So I think we have 5,000-mile round trip right now. But
yeah,
hopefully network performance. We've done a lot of work on being tolerant for high latencies, packet drops. So hopefully this will be good. So
yeah, of course. I also have that Canadian internet, so to speak. So.
So you can see we've got it. This is our system called multi-carrier. This lets us both interact with the same object. And if I stop moving and you let your stamina recover, Jackson, you can actually pull me along.
Drag you along.
Drag me along. And I can kind of pull away, and we can kind of fight. But it lets you get a feel for what direction you want to go in as a team, because you can kind of feel, they're resisting me.
Yeah, of course.
That's quite fun. So if we, and this is kind of mid-game, right? So this is one of the islands, probably about halfway through the progress. But we introduce a new thing here, which are the boom flowers. So if you run up to that, you'll trigger it, and that will kind of demo. And we're trying to teach. Probably going to talk about this in a bit. We're trying to teach the player how things work. So when they go through that, they'll realise, okay, bomb flowers will blow up walls. So
this is our base camp.
It's our base camp, right? So we can go gather. We try and give a really simple introduction here as to what it is you need to do when you build something. So we just 3 pieces of wood and 2 rocks. So we can go and work on this together, Jackson. So if we come and find a tree, then I can actually signal with a little emote here. And then we can chop the tree down together and chop it back. So what you did there was like a manual emote where you're manually choosing what it is you want to do. But we have the smart emote system, which tries to work out. So if I pick up this rock, and I press the smart emote system, it knows I'm holding a rock, and so it will fire the, hey, come and help me carry this rock. So although the Switch 2 has a really great game chat system where you can chat with voice, and obviously we're chatting away now. We know a lot of people don't want to play with voice, right? So we try to build in a really intuitive remote system. So
yeah,
during online matches, you know what you're doing. If I drop that, we can also break this rock together, and that's going to give us smaller rocks, which we can then drop in. And hey, friends,
our base.
There's our base.
Do we feel like we need assistance? Should we get Pedro in the mix?
I think we do. So what we can do is just, as Pedro is not a friend, but he's someone we want to play with just for this session, Pedro is able to use this join code. And this is essentially a Unity lobby code. And if he punches that in, he should be able to move and join us. So you can leave the pause screen now if you want, Jackson, and we should see Pedro turn.
Joining now.
while he's doing
Sorry,
that.
can you share the code again? I'm going to write it down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you
This
have
was
to.
something that we talked about ahead of time as well, where we were like, hey, putting a join code online, on screen online, is a dangerous thing. What if we get people that don't want? Monkey Likes Banana says, wait, could someone stream snipe right now? They could. But Andy, what else do we have?
So we support remove player, right? So we support full player management. If the player is blocked at an OS level, it won't let them in. And if you just want to remove them from the session, the host, which is Jackson, can choose to remove that player. So we would be okay. I think.
So I could remove player right here. Easy peasy.
You could.
Awesome. We have developer person on the YouTube side saying, I got to be honest, I thought the game was going to be terrible based on its name, but it looks good. Well, I'm glad that we won you over. All right. So again, we've got our marker for what to do next, but obviously we want Pedro to come see. I call the green sleeping bag. I hope that's okay with everybody.
Well, while you're calling sleeping bags, I'll go get some food and we can start to.
Okay, good.
Here's Pedro.
Yay!
Cool, I'm in.
You know what, Pedro? Maybe I'll give you the green sleeping bag because it kind of matches your outfit a little bit better.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So the cooking is communal as well. So we can all gather food, and you see you get like that countdown. And during that countdown, you can all drop food in the pot, and then once it's cooked, you can open it up, and it divvies up the food rewarded, so that you can all have a little bit.
Okay,
So
great.
At all times, we're trying to make sure that everyone is getting rewarded for the progress, and everyone can help. Even if some of the players are better than others, it means that they can everyone can still get involved.
I got scared. Can we cook the radishes too?
You can? Yep.
Okay, great.
Certainly looks like the only way over. That's going to be pretty big too.
Who did the narration and why? Second follow-up question: why wasn't it me?
So the narration is a British comedian called Marcus Bigstock.
Okay, sweet.
Who did an incredible job. Like absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
One of the most professional and talented people I think we've worked with.
That's awesome.
And but the original voice recording was done by Rich, who is our program manager. And so for many months, it was Rich saying these same lines. And we kind of missed, the dev team kind of missed it a bit. But Marcus is excellent, but it was always fun listening to Rich. So I can finish that.
Thank you for finishing that. I'm having trouble. The game's bullying me. Okay, so we need. Okay, good. You got that.
We need a big one.
Oh, I should have not chopped that one down. That would have been so much easier.
So if we chop
Yeah,
this,
so this level introduces these exploding planets. The fourth level in the progression of the game. Actually, the game starts in a jungle biome. This is the fourth level. No, sorry, this is the fifth level again.
fifth level. Go quick, drop it.
Don't knock me down.
Drop it.
In.
There we
Done.
go. We just need one more volume.
So these drop sometimes just on the ground,
There's a
sometimes
vine tree,
when we chop down a tree, correct?
They
Vine trees. There we go.
will drop if you drop a vine.
I'm gonna bring one just in case. Pedro, you can go and take that one, but I just want this just in case, you know. Oh no, did our food burn?
It did. So someone started the food cooking, but then wasn't here to open the pot. So I put a fresh batch on.
If it was me.
Over there.
Ah!
Over and let's keep
Oh,
going.
okay. I thought I was off the map. Oh man.
Oh,
I'll be
you
there
found
in, yeah, I'll be there in 3 to 5 minutes. Give me a second.
that? That's all good.
Gang, again, I am paying attention. I'm seeing your questions and comments in chat. We will bring as many to the team as we are able to as we progress through the stream here. So thank you again. Seeing some strong compliments in terms of the UI being very appealing. Greedo saying very nice graphics, very cute. Love the narration and the music. Like, thank you, gang. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So I've unlocked the route because I had enough health to walk across. So what
Gotcha.
we can do, Jackson, is we're going to take this to the elevator.
Okay.
And the elevators act as like a synchronization point. So all players currently in the session have to be on this elevator.
Right. Got it.
And then so Pedro comes and joins us. Then that starts things, and it means at least 2 points in the level, everyone is together.
Oh.
And so although a lot of the mechanics are designed to keep people together, it's faster to chop together, faster to cook together. We still have these big synchronization points.
Gotcha.
So what we've done now is we've gone through the first tier, which is probably a good place to stop. But that gives you the idea of you are moving forwards as a team, have to solve the puzzles as you go, but also have to craft and cook as you go. And as the game gets on, you gradually can craft more devices. There's the umbrellas, so you saw the fishing rods. I won't spoil a few of the others, but we tried to make each level feel fresh. And Pedro's going to talk about how we went about it.
Yeah, I think it's going to set the stage really nicely again for us to dive into some of these details, being the production, talking about some of the level design and what we plan to bring to the community in future. So if we feel like we've gotten enough there, we can kind of transition into some more stuff. But thank you both for hopping in. And it's always a really fun, unique experience for me. And I feel like anyone who's ever done this, to play a game with the people who have created it. Like, I could bring in 3 of my best friends and play this game with them all together, but it would pale in comparison for you guys to be like, oh, yeah. So the intentionality of each of these little decisions, it just changes the game entirely for me. So very, very grateful. Thank you both for hopping in to show me this.
No worries.
All right. So also, I forgot that I did it, that I put our chapter heading as this was multiplayer gameplay with high skill. We're good at games. We're really good at games. So I think that's fantastic. Gang, Unity community, I've taken a number of questions from you. I've marked them down for later in the stream. We will try to get to them. But of course, I want to give the team a little bit of an opportunity to talk about everything that we have here. So Andy, we're going to turn things over to you a little bit to discuss some of the production. We got a couple of videos to show. So go and give it a shot.
Yeah, and we'll go quite quick, but hopefully this will be interesting. Many of you on the stream may already know this kind of thing, but you might be interested to see the kind of the process we went through. So I talked a little bit about doing the pitch, and I just wanted to try and summarize at a very high level, like what paragraph and concept art piece really drove us through the early stages of the game. And this is one of the things we presented. And so we tried to summarize the game. And so this was written in probably January 2023, something like that. And we wanted to build a fast-paced and accessible online co-op survival game where 4 players can play together on a series of unique islands. With time against them, players explore, craft, and solve their way to safety, also while surviving what the islands throw at them. And I love that, because I read that now, I'm like, yeah, that's the game we built. And I think it was one of the things that helped guide us. The other one was this fantastic piece of concept art. This was produced by Gregor, our art director, very early on. And again, I think hopefully after having seen the game being played, you would instantly now recognize this screenshot as being survival kits, right? The camera position, the size of the characters, the style of the characters, even though no one element is exactly how it ended up in the game. I think this served as a great, again, a great guide, a great motivator to, hey, can we really get a game to look like this? And it absolutely did not look like this for the first 6 months, but eventually, you know, we managed to get it to I think honor the great work Gregor did on this piece. You can see the island is flooding. You can see the simple UI for crafting. So it's amazing how these really early pieces of art and design ideas and descriptions can really drive you as a team. We went through, I said the project was about 2 years. We went through a number of milestones, and the first one was our prototype. And again, it was Unity developers, many of you might be familiar with this idea of, like, how do you, before you try and make the full game, how do you prove to yourselves this is going to be fun? How do you prove to yourself technically you can build this? And so what we're going to show now is a video that's from our very early prototype. And crucially, this was already online. So from the moment we started building the game, even the prototype, we made sure that the networking system was in place, and that we weren't tying ourselves into something that would be difficult to produce. So we're only using, you know, kind of colored white boxes with grid lines that will look familiar to anyone that's knocked a quick Unity prototype together. Here we're showing very early versions of multi-carry and explosions, early versions of our turrets. But again, still recognizable as the game you've just seen. But
yeah, it has the DNA kind of pulled through throughout it all.
But no polish. Like there's no IK on the hands. There's no very basic animation. But it was enough that we could play it with ourselves, and we could play it with our partner Konami, and get a feel for what this game was going to be. We have a trampoline in the game. It was initially way bigger than it is in the final version. But again, this is so early version of bouncing. Looks pretty simple, but it was very useful in saying, okay, this can help with traversal across the levels, right? We can go faster or higher if we have a trampoline. Throwing things to each other. Again, if you built a network game, that's the kind of thing you want to try early. We have the physics simulation in there as well. And then the game has wind in a few areas. So this is the tool that eventually turned into a big hand leaf, a big hand fan that lets you blow things around. Initially, it looked like something that's stolen from from B&Q or something, but it was useful at proving out that game mechanic. We have the static wind as well. In the final game, these are big wind grates that blow the player and blow items.
Yeah, they were in the trailer as well. I think we got a glimpse of them.
That's right. So this again, which is proving, okay, if they walk into this volume, this is how we're going to move them. And we just showed this on the game itself, where you were able to pull me along and vice versa. And here is that working for the first time in the prototype. And I was realizing, oh, that's pretty cool. So you have these serendipitous discoveries as well when you do this kind of thing. So yeah, that was our first milestone, and I think got everyone confident that we could build things technically, but also that we could build a game that was fun and honored what we wanted it to be. So after that, we went through a pre-production period, and pre-production is really for us defined as trying to make sure we know how we're going to build something. So we start to estimate how long things are going to take. We start to make sure all the right tech pieces are in place, but also we used this milestone as an opportunity to try and define the visual quality. How can we move on from that grey box video you just saw into something that looks high quality and looks like the game we've just played? And so what we produced was what we called an art corner. Imagine taking a camera of the game and focusing on just a corner of it. Could we build that and make it look something that was attractive, that was in our style, that honored that concept art that we showed at the start? So this video here is of that art corner, and I think we're going to see it now.
I love the turtle. Turtle have a name?
Well, it's a wurtle. It's a cross between a whale and a turtle.
Oh, even better. I like a hybrid animal.
Yeah, and all the levels are on the backs of these wurtles.
Cool.
And that's why they're moving. The levels are moving up and down, is because the wurtles sink. They get scared and they sink into the ocean, and that's why the level starts getting sucked away from them. But you can see the beds that you saw in the final game are there. The blue canopies of the tent eventually became a tent rather than a camp. But all the food sources are there, the coconuts, the bananas. The kids are actually, some of these models that we use for the costumes are actually really close to the final ones in game. Likewise, the trees. And again, like that concept art, it's recognizable as survival kids. And this was really useful for everyone to be able to see not only the fun co-op white box prototype, but also to try and apply this art style over the top and get confidence that actually, yeah, this is going to work together. So Gregor, Beck, Daniel, Stephen, a number of people involved in this, they really nailed it. And we changed a lot during production after this, particularly improving the lighting quality. But that was a really great start for us to set us on the right direction.
Yeah. This is awesome. I mean, again, lots of comments and questions being pulled in here, likely ones that we'll be able to discuss at certain points in the show. But Mo Rockin is asking, game looks really fun. I wonder if there's some LOD, no pop-ins noticed. Surprisingly, surprised at how smooth. Any insights to kind of add to that quickly?
Yes, there are loves for almost everything, I think. And so they were important to, and we do a bunch of other culling as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the level design, how we built the levels but tried not to make them too heavy, because we have an advantage, which is the camera's largely fixed, and a lot of that's an accessibility reason. If you want to play on a single Joy-Con, you only have one analog stick. So if you need a second analog stick to move the camera, well then how do you make the game work on a single Joy-Con? And also, a lot of gamers, less experienced gamers, struggle with camera movement. We all take it for granted that we can do twin sticks with our eyes closed, but you give someone who's new to gaming and say, oh, you've got to move the character and the camera. And by the way, when you move the camera, it means the character goes in a different position, so you have to compensate the direction in which you're running because the camera's changed. It's like it's a learned skill. So the camera being fixed really helps with accessibility, but you can take advantage of that because it means you can make some optimizations, and we can talk about that later. But yes, we absolutely have lots to help with that.
Awesome.
We hit, because our aim was to hit 60 frames per second in split screen, which we did. So performance was a big consideration through a lot of the project.
Awesome. Mo Rockin follows up, says, no, but didn't even notice. So touche, hats off.
Thank you.
But looking back at this timeline here,
yeah. So
I
mean, we can get to this quickly. Everyone knows the next ones, right? And they're the kind of ones where you're in production. So we went through an alpha period where the game became feature complete, but not necessarily content complete. So we could really start focusing on content and quality. Beta was when the game was finished, playable end to end, had all the levels in, really just moving in late 2024 into a long period of QA. It's a multiplayer game on a new system, so there was a lot of QA needed. And both our internal QA team, Sam and Reese, did an incredible job, but we worked with a brilliant team in Japan, actually, who helped us towards the end of the project. And that led us to a gold master, and we needed to do that because the game is actually launched physically in Asia, and so the timelines for that mean you need to be ready. There's no like getting a patch ready a week before launch, right? We have to be through all the necessary checks, ready for manufacturing far earlier than you might expect. So yeah, we did that at towards the start of 2025. Got into manufacturing, and then yeah, that enabled us to launch on June 5th with the console itself.
Yeah, congratulations again. I feel like we've said it a number of times, but it's no small feat to release something of this magnitude on a new console. It's got to be a great feeling. So again, congratulations to you and the whole team.
Yeah, team did an amazing job, and also the Unity engine team as well. You must not forget that. This was, I talked about my time working as the lead of a platform, and it was always the responsibility and aim of any of the platform teams to make sure Unity developers can ship their game on that new platform on day one. And so they need to work way in advance to make that happen. And once again, the Nintendo Switch platform team did an incredible job of making sure that not just survival kits, but many games could be available on day one. And to do that, the platform teams have to work so hard and be so ahead of everyone else that, yeah, they made it easy for us to commit to being a launch title, because we knew that they would nail it.
I love that. I mean, I'll sit and talk about team comp and energy and working teamwork and all of that sort of stuff endlessly. So it's great to hear that you guys had great partners kind of across the board here. Yeah. Andy, did you want to dive into some of the key technology? I think we see a lot of the questions in the chat, but are we ready to to move towards it?
Yeah, very quickly. And what I'll say is I'm going to go through at a very high level some of the technology choices we made. We as a team, this live stream is really kicking off what will be a period of a lot of engagement with the community. We have blog posts coming, and we have Unite talks coming. If we need to, we'll come back and do another stream. So it may seem like I'm going fast on this, and you've got lots of questions and want a lot more detail. We will get round to that, but we'll find the right forum in which to do that. So really, I'm going to go through a few slides. They're going to talk about just some of the tech choices we made. And then we're going to do a lot of follow up on that in the coming months. So, as you might have guessed, we shipped using Unity 6. We actually started on Unity 2022, I think, and we upgraded as the Unity 6 was released. That was actually a really seamless process for us. It's a completely unmodified version of Unity. So, although we're the internal game, we're an internal game team, we've got nothing special here. Any fixes we need, we made sure were given to the engine team ahead of time and incorporated for everyone. There's nothing special here that only this game team has got access to. We use a lot of packages. I'll talk about some of those. They remain mostly unmodified. A lot of the packages are C# source, right? So people can modify them intentionally. Generally, our packages are mostly unmodified. And yeah, talked about the opportunity to ship on a new platform, but what that also means is you might not have all the hardware you need at the right time. So, like many developers, we chose a common kind of dev platform, and that was Windows for us. We produced multiple Windows builds a day that everyone could download and play. The team, although being based in the Stratford-upon-Avon office in the UK, is actually only maybe 50% of the team are in the office. The rest are distributed, and so having these builds being produced that everyone could download, they were quite small, quite easy to manage, and actually being a multiplayer game meant that being a distributed team was great. It worked really well because we could all just hop on a Zoom call, just like we've done today, and do these multiplayer tests together through Zoom, which was great. And that was obviously on Windows to do that. So that was our main choice. Graphics and rendering, we picked Universal Render Pipeline because the art style we were going for and the performance we needed and the flexibility in some cases was perfect for Universal Render Pipeline. We did make a few changes, which we're going to talk about in an upcoming blog post, but worked great for us, and it allowed us to get that 60 frames per second in split screen. We used shader graph for obviously the visual effects and a lot of the special interactions we have and things like that with the scene. And Mechanim for animations, along with timeline. We use timeline across the board. We use it for the cutscenes at the start and end of the game and start of each level, and we use it in game as well. All the bridges, any kind of mechanical movement in the game, that's all mapped out with timeline. From a netcode point of view, again, we've got a blog post coming on this, but at a high level, we chose netcode for entities. This is a really performant and mature netcode solution now. It uses a server authoritative model. That was Jackson in the playtest we've just done, which allows the server to own the true game state. But then it has client-side prediction for responsive things like character movement. So it means that when Pedro and I are playing on our local machines, character movement feels flawless, like really low latency. And netcode, for instance, deals with any rollback or reprediction needed for that when new data comes in for the server. And it also includes a load of useful debugging tools that we use throughout the game. Networking games are hard no matter what framework you're using, and tools for debugging are really important. And netcode for entities provided us with that. I mentioned on the playtest as well some of the services we use. So the big one there is Relay. Relay is hooked up to the netcode solution and deals with a lot of the relaying of the network data for us, gets around a lot of hassles that you can have with home networks and NAP translation and things like that. So yeah, Relay has been really good. There was no need to go for full dedicated servers for this game. It's only 4-player, but Relay solved a bunch of problems for us that we've launched really seamlessly. And I say this not as a Unity employee, but as just a game developer. Both Relay and Lobby have allowed us to launch this online game on a brand new system, and we haven't had to patch since launch, and we're not tracking any active problems at all, which is quite something. So we're able to track all the stats. So yeah, really impressed with Relay and Lobby. We used analytics not for release, but we used it on our Windows builds for internal playtests. Every time we gave a build out, it meant we could see it where people had got to in the game and get data on their experience, which was really useful. Finally, I mentioned it a while ago. We talked about, does this game work on Nintendo Switch, for example? I want to say that we also, alongside the platform team, made sure that Unity could support a new feature called Game Share. Game Share is part of Nintendo Switch 2, and it allows multiple people to play the game, but with only one copy. So as long as you're in our case, we went for the local mode. So as long as you're in the same room, it means a single Switch 2 can render multiple viewports and also audio mixes, because everyone needs to hear different audio, and it can stream that to up to 2 other devices. So here's an example of my 2 switches at home. and my Nintendo Switch 2, and the Nintendo Switch 2 is rendering those 2 views out for the other 2 switches. And it means 3 people can play from 1 system. And again, this is why performance was important for us, because it's not just rendering a single high quality frame on 1 device. We actually have to do 3. So it's essentially an extension of what we built for split screen, but rather than showing it on a single 2 views on a single screen, we can show 3 views on 3 screens. So this is really cool. And if you have a Switch 2, I really recommend checking out the games that support Game Share, because it's a really interesting feature. And of course, for anyone that's a guest, it doesn't require any downloads. You hit 1 button and immediately you're receiving the stream, and you're playing within a few seconds. And it's honestly really magical how it works. So
yeah, it feels like we're in the future.
Like, it really does. And I know we've kind of had streaming in multiple forms, haven't we? We've had it through xCloud and on Live before that, and Google Stadia and everything. And this is another variant of that. But again, it's another great application of it. And we're really thankful for the Unity platform team for all the work they did to allow us to use that and showcase that with this game. And yeah, that's, I mean, maybe a good time for questions, but that was it on my slide before we go to Pedro. So we could do a quick Q&A before we move over to level design.
That was great. Yeah, I'm glad that I held a lot of these questions, because quite honestly, Andy, you answered most of them, right? The curiosity of our community, and what I always love to see is they're hungry, they're curious, but they're always trying to learn more about what they can use. How will I be a better dev from these things? And kind of learning from people that have done it is always such an awesome opportunity. So they asked a lot of questions that I know that you touched on here. So I'll see if I have a couple. Ultimately, again, we do have a dedicated Q&A section that we can kind of circle back to some things if we miss anything. Some great like general production questions that I've seen come through. In terms of tools, M. Gim was asking, did you guys use Unity AI to speed up your development? Were there any helpful cases used? Can we use it to create better or more fun games on Unity? We did a stream earlier this week showcasing some of the AI tools. Was that part of your workflow in any way?
It wasn't, and that's not like an intentional choice, but it's just we didn't have a need during this production. We had a fantastic art team that were able to do everything we needed. And it's interesting, actually, like the speed at which AI image generation and large language models have evolved basically encompasses the duration of the time we're working on this project. So when we started this project, ChatGPT wasn't a thing. And kind of as we're building the game in parallel, on our daily coffee breaks and things, you'd start to say, hey, I've been trying this with ChatGPT, I've done this in Midjourney. And so we kind of, like, we've been watching all of this evolve as we've built this game, and I don't think we've had time to catch our breath and say, hey, what could the uses of that be in the future? But it's amazing how fast that's all come on, and it has literally been the same time we've been making this game is the same time we've seen the rise of large language models and image generation and everything that we're starting to take for granted.
Yeah, it came about. I mean, it feels like it came about very suddenly. I think that maybe is part of like the AI panic and the fear that we see, is that it just seems like it went from 0 to 10 in like 6 months somehow. But good to know. Scally Games Dev on the Twitch side asks or says, I'm kind of surprised you went for authoritative server model in a co-op game. What was your decision making there? Just wanted to utilize netcode for entities? ?
Yeah, I mean, I would, if I had Andy Basketball, who was our staff engineer on this, I would hand this to him. I think it's largely a consideration for security. Like if you have a single authoritative server, it means the clients can't cheat. And so whilst if you're working on a closed system like a console, maybe that's not too much of a consideration because it's perhaps less likely the client's going to get hacked. But if we bring this game or a derivative of this game or a derivative of this code base to a more exposed platform, then having an authority is important. And so I think that's probably the best summary of why that was a smart decision.
Yeah, no, I love it. Again, you had hands on a lot of the production, but for you to know and intimately understand every single system within it seems like a big ask. So being able to share whatever you're able, regardless of topic, is awesome. Just a couple of quick ones to kind of get out of the way here, and then again, we can save some of the meatier ones for later. Nam is asking, did this game use dots?
It used netcode entities, which is part of the data-oriented tech stack. So yes, but we also still made a great use of game objects. We actually have a layer that allows us to use both. I'm going to talk more about that in the upcoming blog posts and presentations about the network stack.
Yep. Yeah, and of course, Andy, you alluded to it, but maybe it's something that we come back to on another stream to talk more about the tech side, and maybe we do dive right into the multiplayer things. I think that could be really fun. I know we had kind of initially discussed that being part of today's stream, so maybe we can circle back. I think that's a no-brainer if it schedule's allowing. You know what I mean? I say we kind of leave it there. We circle back to some of these a little bit later, but Pedro's been waiting so patiently. And let's make sure that we've got some time to dive into level design.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Pedro, the floor is yours.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's always nice when you get a game dev team to show how they build their stuff in Unity. When they stream their screens, and you can see them using the same editor as you. You can see their scene organization, their prefab organization, and saying like, oh, okay, like this is not a monster. Like we're doing the same thing. So yeah, we wanted to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about the process. And every level design process, it doesn't start it doesn't start in engine, because first, before going into the engine, we need to define what we need to do. And we start, for every single level of this game, we have a list of requirements that, will feed into an initial research, a mood board. So the level design team will think, oh, maybe, for example, there was a level that we would be introducing an umbrella mechanic that allows you to glide. And then Olaf, our level designer, said, oh, I think this level could be a river, because then we could structure the whole level around gliding from one side of the river to the other. So this general, what's going to be the overall theme of the level. And then we would start making diagrams and sketches. So on paper, or in the case of a team that is as distributed as ours, we would use Miro so everyone could contribute and draw online. And yeah, just doing diagrams, sketches. Sometimes even in this phase, we would do some proof of concept in engine, because you could draw something and then think, does this actually work in the game, with our camera angle, or will this be too complicated? And then we go do a little play test and realize, oh no, okay, maybe we have to simplify this a little bit, to only then start properly, building the scene that's going to be that level, and block out from the start to finish how the level is going to work. So when we did that, what I said before, it would be in a sort of separate playground scene, just a proof of concept of specific parts. And once the level is blocked out and fully functional with all the interactive components set up, we would play test it and find a lot of issues, because that's normal. That's what happens when you play test stuff. And then we'll do adjustments. We iterate on that many times. So play test the level, get feedback from the team, from QA, from art sometimes, go back, make these adjustments. And once we're happy with the level and there are not many bugs left, or we are sure that there's no exploits, no soft locks or anything, then we will hand the level over to art, so they would finalize it, set dress, art up, and make the level look beautiful and part of this world. So this is true for any kind of design. It's level design, game design. If you're doing graphic design, industrial design, you're not just going to do things out of your head. You're going to have a list of requirements. You're going to have to first understand the target audience. You're going to understand the problem, and then you're going to find out, okay, it's not anything that I can do. What I need to do things that will fulfill certain criteria, right? So for every level in this game, we had level-specific requirements, such as, oh, this level needs to fit here in the progression. It's going to be the second desert level It's going to introduce the exploding plant as a mechanic. It needs to have 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And then we would also have specific, sorry, not specific, we'll have like general requirements, which are guidelines, have like this document that we would agree on with what defines like what sort of things do all levels need to have. So structural requirements such as no soft locks, or 3 treasure stones to find, or figuring out, for all levels in our game, more than 3 paths to explore at the same time will make the players split up too much, so we need to restrict how many branching paths we have. And also functional requirements, taking into consideration our target audience, which includes, I don't know, like 5-year-old kids and also adults, like hardcore players. So the levels need to be readable, they need to be guided. You always need to know what the objective is, even if you don't know how to complete that objective. And needs to be replayable, so it needs to have enough options for the player to try new strategies where they're looking for, try to get faster times. And we work with pillars. So we have these 3 gameplay pillars for the whole game: better together, survival for everyone, playful solutions. This was our definition of what the experience needs to be.
Yeah.
And that applies to everything, not only game design, level design. It applies to art, applies to music, applies to every single aspect of the experience. It needs to reinforce these themes. And in the case of level design, we would go and say, what is a good survival kids level? And a good survival kids level is a level that is better together. It's a level that like sells up survival fantasy for everyone. It's a level that enables playful solutions, which are our 3 pillars. So, for example, for Better Together, we need to make a level that ensures that no one is left behind. We need to make sure that for example, that there aren't puzzles where I stand on a pressure plate while you go and go on an adventure and have a lot of fun while I just stay there. So, other example, survival for everyone. We need the level to tell a stranded story, so make you feel like you are in like Robinson Crusoe sort of setup, and it's welcoming to novice players. And playful solutions, playful in tone. We want the game to be fun even if you fail. So, for example, the level designers would think, oh, in this particular part, if the player gets caught in an explosion, their resources are going to fall on the floor, and we want them to roll in this direction. So it creates like this chaotic, funny situation where everyone has to like run around, like trying to pick up the things that are rolling down the hill. And there's another one, actually, before I go to the next slide. We also used another thing as a lens, aside from the 3 pillars, which was, the definition was, a good survival kids level is well-paced. So it's about how we use these 3 things in conjunction, how we orchestrate all aspects of the game to create experience that flows well. So, there's enough breathing space between, breathing space between challenges. The difficulty and the complexity of the level increases until it reaches a climax. So every time that we're talking about level design amongst the team, amongst the level designers, we would also always be using this vocabulary to determine what is a good level. And once we had the general idea of the level mapped out, we would make these 2D bubble diagrams. And this is a good way of evaluating the structure of the level, because when you're on this phase, you're not really thinking about layout, like, is this part north of this part, is this part south of this part? You're just thinking each of these circles, they represent, like, they're nodes in this graph, and they represent play spaces in this level. And right now, at this stage, we're only thinking about how they relate to each other, what are the traversal requirements. So for example, in order to go to one to the other, you need to have stamina, or you need to have crafted this item. And in this stage, it's already possible to get so much feedback about level design. Even if you haven't thought exactly how these parts look like, you can already look at a diagram like this and say, the players could go here first and then here. Do we want that? Or this level has too many branching paths. And we develop.
I think I remember as well, Pedro. It gives us a really good indication of what might be needed from the rest of the team as well. So even before it starts to get built, we can see, okay, so we need another mechanic here. We need a tool to do this. We need another feature to allow us to do this. And so even before the blockout starts, we're kind of able to establish these are the missing parts we're going to need to build through the rest of the team, through engineering and through art.
Yeah, and it's also very good to put levels side by side. These diagrams, we had them from all the levels. Each of these, they were iterated like 3 times, so you don't get them right in the beginning. You can use that to get feedback. So you would see the level side by side and think, I think this level is so much bigger than the previous one that preceded it. Or we use this color coding to show whether a play space would be a puzzle play space, or exploration, or a traversal challenge, or more like chaotic arena with projectiles. And we could see, for example, oh, this level is very puzzle oriented, but the previous one was also very puzzle oriented. Can we maybe like switch things up a bit and put more traversal challenges in this level? And this is so useful, because you realize before even sketching out these ideas what the level needs to be about. And yeah, this is a 2D sketch. This one was made by Dante, one of our level designers. He designed the whole level that we just played earlier, Boomflower Bay. This all the images that I'm showing is from the same level that we played. And this, yeah, like you can see, if you remember the level, you are going to see, you can even go to the next slide, and you're going to see that in this particular case, it didn't change so much. Obviously, when you are blocking out the level and testing it, you realize, oh, players are getting lost here, so this area needs to be a little bit more like this, or this idea didn't really work as we thought that we would in the layout. But then you go and do the adjustments, and yeah, like this. I could open the engine now and show how.
Yeah. Yeah, let's dive into it. I think it'll be great. I think it's very cool to see the progress. Number of people saying it's similar things here as well, seeing the kind of foundations. Interesting to see the work, the planning, design thinking, and the feedback that goes in every single level. So it'll be really cool, I think. Let's pop in to the editor, and you can kind of show how we went from those early designs and diagrams to this fully fleshed out level.
Yeah, so well, if you paid attention to the details in that, probably didn't have time to see we've detailed the bubble diagram, but the levels are distributed in 3 tiers. As you can see here, we have separated that level in 3 very big prefabs. There's actually more than one prefab for each of these parts. We have one prefab for the terrain, one prefab for gameplay elements. We have even one prefab for sound, because we have like spatial sound objects. And this allows different parts of the team, different disciplines, to be working on the level at the same time, considering like version control. And let me see. Well, yeah, this is Boomflower Bay.
Was Boomflower Bay, that was the one that we just played, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So we started over here. We built the base camp over here. You built a climbing net here, and as we were exploring this area, Andy came over here and opened a shortcut for us to carry the base camp up. And this is the elevator that goes to the 2nd tier.
Cool.
Yeah, we use these elevators in all levels, and they are the main, they're the main mechanic responsible for ensuring that the players are not left behind because we don't want players to be discovering a lot of new things and solving puzzles while someone was, I don't know, like cooking or looking for secrets. So
it's really cool to see all of these elements feeding into the three pillars that you mentioned, right? Predominantly like everyone being together, survival for everyone. Like, I think that is so cool, just what design implementations you made to stay true to those.
Yeah, and we also wanted the levels to look like believable and realistic and organic. You can see here, maybe some of you are wondering, okay, so how did they made this terrain? Because it looks very organic, but the secret is it's actually made of blocks. It's made of well, we have a kit of terrain parts, like big terrain modules. As you can see, this one is pretty much just a big rectangle. And the whole level is actually made of these. They seem seamless and they seem organic because we were very smart. Actually, this whole solution here was made by the level design team in conjunction with Beck, our senior 3D artist, and they came up with a set of modules. So we have this kit for each of the biomes in the game that comprises of modules that are a little bit more organic, like this one, but also things like some more blocky ones, because you realize that when making platforming challenges, sometimes you need a little bit more precision. For our camera angle, because we have this sort of like top-down-ish perspective, you don't want players to be losing resources behind the terrain. So most north-faced walls, they are a little bit, how can I say, inclined, while the parts where you need a little bit more precision, they're like south-facing walls and platforming segments, they are straight like this. And yeah, we have like this. We have a lot of different modules that they came up with, so level designers could make any idea come to life. And you can see that each of these modules, they have like a lid on top, right? Like this terrain part here. And obviously there's going to be a lot of Z fighting if you just intersect a lot of these. So what we did was our technical art team, I think it was mostly Daniel that worked on this.
Yeah.
He made this amazing tool that uses the Houdini integration. And
cool.
we can, let me see. So that we have like this little window here. And if I hit create terrain, it should, yeah. So what this did was it merged all these meshes. What it actually did is something like if you had placed a blanket on top of all these separate meshes and created a single mesh that is that blanket. And yeah, so we have other tools that allow the artist to paint this and, you know, create, is this going to be sand? Is this going to be have like a patch of grass? And well, I think,
is it worth just showing one of the puzzles as well, Pedro, and how they connect?
sure. One cool thing actually to talk about, because another thing that people might be asking about the solution is, if you intersect a lot of terrains like this, if you make the whole level by doing this, you are wasting a lot of computational power with parts of this terrain that don't really show up in the camera angle, right? Because actually these terrains, they are separated in, they have each of these modules have sub-modules in them.
Got it.
And what we do is there's a script that runs when we export the level, that makes all the parts of all these sub-modules that are not, that can't be seen by our camera angle, it just deactivates all of them. So if you look at the level right now, from this angle, everything looks normal. But if you look from behind, you're going to see that a lot of these modules, they just get deactivated, especially the ones that are, like, I'm not sure if it's going to be easy to show here, but the ones that are inside these intersections.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they all get automatically deactivated.
Wow.
And the fact that the game runs on well, if you're playing, for example, on game share with three full screens being rendered all the time, a massive level like this, this is medium-sized level compared to others. Yeah, it's like a testament to how optimized this whole solution is. Because in the end of the day, our biggest need was to make a lot of levels very fast, and we wanted to minimize rework on the levels after they had been arted up. Like, we don't want to make a level, in our case, we didn't want to make a level and then have it arted up. If you remember well, the first video that Andy showed, the prototype one,
Yeah.
we were blocking out the levels with like gray blocks, and after that the artist could go and make a new mesh, like a beautiful organic mountain in place of that gray box. But doing that could introduce new collision bugs, it could introduce new exploits, could introduce new soft locks. So we decided to go with this solution instead, which is kit bashing, have the level designers themselves work with the final modules that would build up this terrain. So the artist's job would be mainly, in most cases, mainly focusing on decorating this level. So things that would have very, very little chance of introducing new bugs. So you can see like this whole layer here is the details layer. Yeah, like this game object here is the details layer. And you would see, for example, things like, oh, these two modules didn't look very well when they were close to each other, you know, like they were intersecting not in a great way. And then we have all these little pieces that we can use to mask whenever something doesn't look great. Obviously, the water rises in the game, so a lot of things that you're seeing here you wouldn't be seeing in the game. But if you play throughout all the levels, you won't spot anything that looks like weird or unfinished. Like, because of this process, it was possible to do such a good job of making everything look organic and believable.
Yeah. This looks great. This is a really cool peek behind the scenes. We also have Typing Cat in the YouTube chat saying, I'm currently studying game design and I'm thinking of specializing in level design. So this is a gem of a stream, I must say. Many thanks. So very excited whenever we can connect people with the exact content that they're hoping to see in that moment. So that's very cool. Pedro, was there anything else that you wanted to show off quickly as we near the end of our time on stream here?
Okay, very quickly then. We also used a lot, and this is a very cool level design tool, something that I recommend every game level designer to do, have some metrics prefabs. So we have these prefabs that we use as rulers. So for example, let's see, jump, run, comfortable. This represents a gap that is a comfortable jump for the player. I think it's like 2.5 units.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so the level designers, why they're building the level, so you can save time testing. You can go and use, let me see where some platforming segment here. You can be using these prefabs all the time as rulers to check, is this a jump that will look like a jump that the player can do? Okay, this is a good jump. Especially in a situation like this where the players have like a sort of like high pressure, you need to like run and avoid explosions while jumping. You don't want the jump to be ambiguous and like, can I do that jump? Can I not? And we have, for example, another one here that is jump, run, impossible. So this is a gap that represents the maximum jump that the player can do, a little bit above the maximum jump that the player can perform. And in places where you don't want the players to be able to, jump across, or even like not even think that they should be able to jump across, you can use a ruler like this. So yeah, this is definitely bigger than this gap. Players won't think that they will be able to jump here. And I guess that's mostly it. There's gizmos here. A lot of our features have gizmos that were made by the engineering team as a quality of life feature for the level designers. If anyone has any more questions, I don't want to take up too much time here.
No, it was great. And I know that we could and probably wanted to dive in deeper, but like I've been saying, we can always come back and we can dive into some really specific things, like a full dedicated stream just going into a really specific level design for any of the levels, the nuances, the intricacies, the tools, all of the little nooks and crannies. I think that would be really, really cool for a lot of people. So it's always something that we can likely come back to, but that's in the future. And speaking of the future, Andy, do you want to talk about what the plan is if people wanted to hear more and learn more? Again, stick around, Unity community. We're about to give away 5 or 6 copies of the game, so don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I won't keep you then. So this is 1 minute. So just want to remind everyone, this stream has probably felt too short and not enough information. We know that making a game is a big thing to talk about. So once again, we have a number of detailed blog posts that are going to be coming over the next few months. And we're planning a number of talks at Unite 2025 again, which will be going even deeper into certain areas. So we see this as a long-standing educational responsibility that we have really as a team to try and feed as much back to the community as we can about what we've learned making this game that might help you be more successful. And just as a final bit of data that I think is interesting, I talked about this ambition of building a game to make Unity engine better. I'm really pleased to say that more than 100 developers within Unity itself now have access to this project and are using it to validate all the work they're doing, both current and future. And that's across more than 30 different teams. So when everyone talks about, Unity should build its own games, this is why. And it's not only to build a great game for partners like Konami that players enjoy, it's also to try and make Unity engine stronger for the rest of you that are using it to make games yourselves.
Absolutely. And I know that I have a question earmarked about this that we'll get to in just a second. But again, Unity community, look for these opportunities to follow up and dive deeper. I think it's such a fascinating thing for Unity to have done that they haven't done in about 20 years. So go and check it out. I put the link to the blog in there. Keep an eye out on Unite content. Of course, we'll be doing 2 days of live streams from Unite specifically. So maybe Andy, maybe we bring the team in and we talk to the community again in a live stream once we're there. It's far enough away that we have no idea, but maybe. What I will do right now as we dive into some of this Q&A is I'm going to start the giveaway. So everyone make sure that you are on twitch.tv/Unity. If you are there, put in the chat ! giveaway. We are giving away 5 codes for European device, EU device, and we have 1 North American code. We will be deliberate in telling you which ones we are drawing when. We'll draw the 5 EU ones first and the 1 North American one last. So just so you know, if it is not compatible with your game, with your console rather, you can try to trade. Try to trade. That's what we'll say. But some of these questions, again, Unity community, you always ask such fantastic, deep, meaningful questions. I will also point out, everyone gets 1 entry. Everyone gets 1 entry, so don't feel like you need to spam it, but you guys are all doing great so far. All right. One of these questions, probably one of the best ones I've seen, again from Jihad saying, what did the USP team learn from developing this game, and specifically what feedback do they now have about the Unity engine? What pain points were addressed, etc.? You just mentioned, the learnings that you guys have been embraced and experienced by 100 different studios. What were some of the impacts that you guys had through this experience?
Yeah, that's right. 100 different developers at Unity using the engine now. So I mean, it's hard to kind of pinpoint. It's a good question, but there's so many fixes have gone back. The one I always pick on is the big one, which is we really helped the Nintendo Switch 2 platform. I think that was the
Mm-hmm.
biggest aid we had. We fed back a lot of things in a lot of areas, but the big one was we worked really closely with the Nintendo Switch 2 platform team to make sure that they could be ready for everyone else on day one. And they were already in great shape, but we helped them go that little bit further. And particularly with features like game share, we definitely were a good fit for that as a design. And technically, we helped them really make sure game share was ready.
Awesome. Another great question here from Scally Games Dev. They say, in terms of Unity's in-house developments, there have been previous projects and demos like Fantasy Kingdom, Mega City Metro, Boat Attack, etc. In what ways are those similar or different than Survival Kids now? Were there different teams and processes? What did that look like?
Yeah, different teams with a different remit, really. The demo team in particular, Sylvia's team, does an incredible job at really showing the state of the art of Unity. But it's a different thing to take a game through production and submission, right? I think it's one thing to build a cutting edge demo that shows best practice and they make that source available. And I think you learn a number of things doing that. But I think building a game, it allows you to learn a whole different set of things. We had to make sure that we could get through the platform holders' requirements. If you've not shipped on a console before, then you should know that when you go to the console holder, that they give you a bunch of requirements that your game has to meet. And if you don't meet those, you're not going to get to ship on their console. So having to go through that exercises a whole different set of paths, code paths and systems for the engine as well. And obviously it's something our customers are going through all the time, but we perhaps don't see enough of that. And so, yeah, it's definitely highlighting some areas there. So I think that's the big difference between a full game production versus the amazing set of demos that we do. Is a full production has to go through this submission process. And ultimately, it has to be completely free of bugs. It has to be the most robust piece of software it can possibly be, and it's just there's a whole different set of challenges you get with that. No one route is correct. I think what you want as a technology developer like Unity is a broad set of examples, of samples, of demos, of games. Then that's going to get you the breadth of coverage that you need to make sure what you're building is usable by the community.
Awesome. Great insight. I'm really glad that we have you this moment. And Andy, you seem like the person with all the answers, which is very cool. But Pedro, we got a question for you as well. Bugatti Tech asks a level design question. Did you take into account newcomers? Like, let's say that you and a friend are already kind of advanced in the game and then new people join in. Is there anything that you can do in level design to make that experience for a newcomer better? Which is kind of what we experienced today, me being the relative newcomer jumping in into kind of like the 4th or 5th level. Any insight?
Yeah, I think we definitely the main use case that we use to make the level is considering the players playing from start to finish. Like, we don't want to just jeopardize their experience, but we did have a very important, when I said survival for everyone being one of our pillars. Mm-hmm. We wanted every level to feel welcoming. So there's not a single level in the game that feels like too oppressive or overwhelming. As we played today, we started on level 5, and every level, because it's a bit of a cozy game, as Andy said. Every level it needs to feel inviting, and we wanted every single one of them to we took into consideration that you could be playing level 7, say, with a 5-year-old person that is joining for the first time with you. Is this person going to get stuck at some point? Are there going to be like a mandatory platforming challenge in the critical path that they wouldn't be able to go through? So one thing that we did for the whole game is most of the challenging things, they are on the branching paths. You need to go and do something to get a gear piece that will fix the elevator, or resources for a crafting item that needs to proceed. But if you are like a less skilled player and you want, for example, I want to stay all the time at the base camp cooking to help, for example, you're playing like with siblings, and I want to help my parents do this while we'll go do something else. You can have players of different skills, and there's nothing in the game that's going to soft lock someone who's at a lower skill. at the same time, the game does offer quite challenging puzzles on the later levels.
That's very cool insight to see as well. We have a couple more questions to to ask here. Again, a reminder to everybody, we have an active giveaway on twitch.tv/Unity. Type !giveaway in chat. We are giving away game codes, 5 EU zone game codes to Survival Kids and 1 North American one as well. Make sure to get everybody's entries in. A couple more questions. And now we're venturing into territory where Andy, Pedro, I don't want you guys to feel like we trap you. If there's something that we can't discuss publicly, just let us know. Totally okay. Especially this one. I know talking about money is always something that's a little bit tumultuous at times. Andrew asks a good question. As a studio, you not only have to factor in development costs, but also post-launch support and multiplayer service costs. What percentage of your budget did you allocate towards this, and how has that matched your expectations, good or bad?
I can't talk about budget, unfortunately.
Got it. No trouble at all.
Apologies. Great question, but I can't go into that.
It is always something like, listen, that's guarded secrets for a lot of developers. When we're able to kind of dig in and peel the curtain back, fantastic. But I totally understand that that's not always going to be the case. Sure. Some about the future of the game, which is very, very cool. But again, if we can't say anything at this time, you just let me know. Jim asks, are there any plans to add any additional levels or expansions in future?
Nothing to announce on that.
Got it.
What I will say is that unrelated to anything we might do in the future, the team has really enjoyed building this game, and hopefully you can see from some of the design thought that's gone into the level design, some of the opportunities of co-op, is that I think we're all really passionate about co-op gaming, and a game like this I think is scratching at the surface of what's possible, and you can see the success of co-ops. I love Split Fiction, it's just came out recently, for example. It Takes Two, and I think we all have so many ideas about what we can do with co-op that I hope we get to jump into that again, because it's been great fun.
Maybe that's where we kind of leave the questions for the future, and that the team has a lot of aspirations and ambitions and passions towards it. Would love to do more, but nothing to share at this point. I think it's perfect to put a bow on it, to put two bows, second bow that we're going to put on this. Wayne Games on YouTube says, wasn't a question, but I earmarked it for a great way to end it here. My kids and I love Survival Kids. Great job, team. And I think it's particularly impactful for me to see not just people playing a co-op game with friends, but with family, with their kids. Man, that plucks at my heartstrings. I like to see that.
Thank you so much. And that means the world to us. It really does. We built it for you. So thank you for that comment.
Awesome. That makes me so happy to be able to kind of share that moment with you guys. Okay, we're going to close up the giveaway. If you are not yet entered, you have 12 seconds maximum. Again, twitch.tv/Unity, !giveaway. I'm going to give you the information. Make sure you're listening. If you win, I will reach out to you via Twitch DMs from the Unity account. I will then give you your code there. Again, they are region locked. I'll be specific in telling you which one that you have. It is yours to do what you will with after that. Hopefully hop in and play with some friends. All right, we are going to close this giveaway right now, and good luck to everybody. Again, the first 5 that we will draw are EU codes, and those winners are the following. First one, we've got Ryern12. And again, this is also being populated in the Twitch chat as well. So congratulations to you. We've got 4 more here. Next up, KFG Bebop. Love a good bebop. I'm more of a Rocksteady guy myself, but shout out to Bebop. That's a deep cut, I think. And we got 3 more. Mr. Jordan, who I believe has actually won a giveaway in the past. Congratulations. That seems like a familiar name to me. We've got Firewalker, number 4, and our 5th and final for EU code is Mr. Savvy Chap, who just a moment ago said, I am from the UK, so I hope I get one. And then also said, wait, what is the giveaway for? So to clarify, you just won a code for Survival Kids for an EU Nintendo Switch 2 device. So you have that, whether you have a Switch 2 now or will in the future, you have access. And the final, go ahead, Andy, sorry.
I was going to say, Jackson, I was going to very quickly say, if anyone's winning a code and they don't yet have a Switch or a Switch 2, as long as you've got a Nintendo account, you can redeem it now. And when you get that hardware, it'll be there on the start screen as soon as you log in.
Yes. Okay. That's great context to have. And with that, our North American code goes to Invacent. Invacent, congratulations. Again, to all of our winners, I will be reaching out to you all via Twitch DMs. Make sure that your settings are set in a way that you can receive DMs from strangers. Only trust the Unity account. Will never ask for any information from you. We're just going to give you that code and congratulate you, I assure you. So congratulations to all our winners of the code. Pedro, Andy, thank you guys both so much for joining us today. You shared a wealth of knowledge that I feel like was just the tip of the iceberg. I'm so grateful. Do you have any parting words for our community before we head out?
This has been super fun. We've been locked up in a development studio for the last 2 years, so it's great to come out and speak with the community. We're doing this all for you, and we hope that this endeavor and hopefully whatever comes next is only going to be a benefit to your success. So thank you all for listening, and yeah, look forward to speaking to you all again.
Yeah, well said. Pedro, any parting words?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jackson, for having us. This has been an amazing time. And yeah, for the game devs, I guess just keep making games, keep doing what inspires you. And yeah, like always, like nourish your creative self and let the world see what's inside of your head.
You guys crushed it. Those were great parting words. Sometimes it's just like, nah, thanks, bye. But you both were like, here's a helping of inspiration and gratitude. Crushed it. All right. With that, Pedro and Andy, we're going to say goodbye to you. Don't go anywhere. I will chat with you backstage in just a moment. But thank you again so very much for being here.
Thanks, Jackson.
Of course. And with that, Unity community, just you and me, thank you so much for joining today's stream. If you joined it in progress, we will have the VOD chaptered on YouTube shortly. So if you'd like to circle back, that VOD will already be there. You can watch the stream in its entirety and we'll make navigation simpler for you when we have a moment. Again, to the winners, I will be reaching out via Twitch DMs likely today or tomorrow. So thank you in advance for your patience. I will get you that as soon as I can. Thank you again for being here, Unity community. You guys rock. We've always said from the moment that I got hired almost a year ago, the strength of Unity is its community. So you guys all kick behind for being here. Nice. Dodge the censors on that one. We are live 2 times a week, typically Tuesday and Thursday. Come on back to learn things in Unity about game dev in general, or just connect with your community. We likely have a stream tomorrow. I wish I could 100% confirm it right now, but we are in a slightly tentative state. It will be if it goes through. I'm going to tell you what it is, and if you don't see it, it means it didn't go through. A game show, which we have done 3 times in the past, where we pit Unity versus community. You all have an opportunity to impact the game show, and we have very special guests representing Team Unity. We've got Larry Herb, aka Major Nelson, and representing the community, we've got Jason Wyman, of course, of YouTube game dev tutorials and conversations fame. So keep an eye on the notifications on Twitch, keep an eye on the YouTube page for the same, and we'll get you that information as soon as we possibly can. Thank you again so very much for being here. Thank you to everybody who put this episode together. Andy, Pedro, second Andy as well, because they were in the mix for a minute there. Shout out to Larry and, of course, Jack running everything behind the scenes. Thank you very much, everybody. Until I see you all again, my name is Jackson. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.